Hello and welcome to Moving Iron Podcast number 300. This edition of the Moving Iron Podcast is brought to you by Anvil AppWorks. Anvil AppWorks and their Dealer Connect CRMI app with their integrated inventory management is an affordable Salesforce-based solution for your dealership. Create connected customer experiences and transform how you work today. I have got Jason Hoult back here with me from Anvil. Jason, how you doing, man?
Doing very well today, Casey.
Yeah, right on. Are you enjoying fall in the Great White North, or are you still somewhat warm temperatures up there?
No, but I still enjoy it. Harvest is always my best time of the year, and it's going strong up here, so we're happy for that.
Right on, man. Yeah, it's we're in the throes of all those different crops that get harvested down here. We got corn going, sugar beets getting dug. We got edible beans, pretty much. Well, those are pretty much all done, but it's lots of trucks on the road and a lot of dust in the air, and there's a lot of stuff getting done right now. So it is a definitely a incredible time of the year when everyone kind of flies around and makes things happen. So it's an exciting time.
And it's a typical Minnesota fall where we've had 15 degrees, then turn into 80 degrees within the span of 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we've had those days too. So it'll be supposed to have some of that this weekend. So we'll see what happens there. So we're good, Jason. So talk a little bit, Jason. What have you been up to, man? What's been going on over at Anvil?
well, you know what? We really appreciate, last month we had the Moving Iron Summit there, and you had a great attendees and great material. And we got to meet a few of your customers and a few of the dealers that attended there. And want to just say thank you because now we have Dealer Connect customers as well. We launched it there, showed it to the teams, and some of the folks we talked to there are now being implemented on it. So it's a great event. If anyone watching this podcast has any questions about what we've got or what even is going on there, you can't beat the Moving Iron Summit. Make a plan for it this year. But we really appreciate that. And it was just really great. I even have to say, podcast 300, what an achievement. So great job there, Casey.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. No, I'm glad you guys can make it out this year and be a part of that. And I think there's, like I told you in there, I think you guys have something special here that's it's a different way of doing the stuff that kind of keeps everything in one type package. Yeah, I think you got something special here. Like I said, I think you've got some good things and some good way to track trend lines. And in this particular market that we're in right now, knowing what the trend lines are going to look like, it's going to be great.
We've gone from the gamut of having way too much inventory to now not having enough, and some of it coming back. And boy, that's just the common theme across is we just need to know our inventory better. We need to be able to get reports. We need to be able to see trends. We need to be able to find exactly what we're looking for faster. And that's the common theme across a lot of what we're doing, which is what you highlighted. So I really appreciate that. It kind of comes down in our industry. It's inventory stupid, everything about inventory.
Yep. It's, and the one thing about inventory trend lines and developing trend lines and what that looks like is that the process is the same, whether you have too much or not enough.
Yeah, exactly. For sure. And that's where some of the tools, as you mentioned, month in and month out, what you're doing is looking at inventory, looking at the same trends, looking at how much you've got at this store versus that store, or what type of inventory do you have, how long it's been around. And that's where technology can really help. Being able to solve some of those pains that you have of doing the same spreadsheet each and every month, running the same formulas, putting buckets into it. It's just so nice to be able to pull up something, say, here's where everything's at. Dig into it, do your investigation without having to, start with a blank spreadsheet, as they say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's the hardest part is knowing what data to put into that spreadsheet to start with. So let's talk about this a little bit. So tracking inventory trends. This is one of those marketplaces where we're in a very much an uptick market. We got stuff going on, but there's some things out there that could cause inventory to change, interest rates and those kind of things. You start looking at how those start playing together, having that crystal ball to know when that's going to happen, and how you can prepare yourself for that is going to be a critical moment for a lot of folks when they finally figure out what it is that they're doing and what that looks like. How does Anvil address that?
It really is. And part of it is just knowing what you already know, but having it in a place where you can access it from past sales, seeing what you actually sold it for, whether you're comparing that to iron guides, whether you're comparing that to original price, what's the average, how's it trending, and how does it change? one of the areas that's really interesting is you don't want to look at just trends along like a S780 or a, size combine, because that'll change over time. Model numbers are change. What's really neat about how we've automatically grouped this into market share categories or product lines and even buckets of 1 to 2 year old, 2 to 4 year old, etc. So when you're looking at those trend lines, you don't have to just keep looking at an S series falling off and then being replaced by the next model. You're able to see more of a trend of just 2 year old equipment. How has it gone over time, and seen it year after year, or even where it's going from there. Being able to see where's inventory at across the country. It's nice to get a spreadsheet of here's the listings, but unless I know that we're a little hot in the Midwest or we're a little soft in the central region, being able to dig in and just interrogate the information is what we do with really the analytics coming into there. So it's one thing to even look outwards and see the trends, but with this information, it's even available to you just your everyday function. What do we got at one store? How many of these do we have across here? How many have we sold in the last 12 months? So whether you're looking for something to sell, or you're even looking for, well, how much should I put in there? And that's really where the trends come into play. Here's the last 12 that we sold. Did they sell? Did they go up? Did they go down? Then push that out into the forward of, well, how many were on the market last month versus how many were on the market this month? What's the average sale price? What's the distribution across age? And that's some of the stuff we're seeing right now in our information that we share, is that distribution across the age buckets is changing significantly, of getting a little bit more of that 3 to 5 year old equipment out there on the marketplace, and still getting a little short on the 1 and 2 and the 2 to 3 year buckets.
Yeah, for sure. And that's something I've been thinking a lot about is those buckets and how those things come into play when you start looking at different customer segmentation, which I think has greatly changed, over the last 10 years, and how that looks, because, the price of equipment is more expensive now. And, 12, 13, 14, $250,000, $300,000 combine, $350,000 combine. That was a new combine. Same guy's still buying that, still buying a $350,000 combine, but it's got, 700 hours on it now. So it's a dynamically different feel in the way the market operates. And I think something else you kind of hit on there a little bit, which I think is an important part of that, is where does that stuff, how's that look in the marketplace month over month? And then also the pricing trends that come along with that, especially in today's market where we've had this big run up in price. And then when that pricing starts to come back down or continues to grow, whatever it does, that's another big trend line that you got to follow.
It is. And, the platform we're built on is salesforce.com. And it's really nice to have that platform because they've got built-in tools of statistical trending, forecasting built right into there. So we just use the machine learning that comes along with it, throw it the history, and then it starts giving us a cone of potential of where this market's going to head. And you watch that month after month, you can start making some of those decisions. You said something interesting there, which is, the product itself is called CRMI because it's accounts or it's customers and inventory. So you do those analysis saying, is this a 2 year old customer? Is this a customer who is continually trading every 3 years? You do that analysis and it's locked up in a spreadsheet. What we've done on our platform is allowed you to do that analytics, but then capture that on that account. So those trend lines, those buying habits, those other things can actually influence future sales, can influence how you approach an EOP program that this person last bought 2 years ago. How do we get them into this year's marketing campaign for this EOP timeframe coming in there? So there's a lot of benefit, not only from seeing the trends of equipment, but using that back onto the accounts, which then feeds more information on your inventory. What type of customers are buying right now? Which type of customers have gone into here? Are we seeing an uptick in dairy? Are we seeing those customers extending out? When you're just looking at serial numbers and model numbers, you lose all of that. Having that on the same platform in the CRMI gives you trends that are even more than just the iron.
Yep. And then that also, those pricing trend lines also go into one of the other things that is slow to be addressed, I think, in a lot of dealerships when you're looking at how you go about, fundamentally making that process work. And that's tracking aged equipment and managing that lifespan at the dealership, right? I'm as guilty as anybody else is. That thing's already been here for 6 months. I can't believe that. I mean, it's not like we just traded for it the other day. And next thing it's 6 months have gone by, 3 months have gone by, a year's gone by. And what are you doing? So having something in front of you from a dashboard perspective, almost, of how those things work. How does that work with your system?
Yeah, that's one of our key tenets is automation. And you just highlighted it there is you shouldn't have to scour your inventory just to find those pieces you need to review. They should just be in front of you, whether they're on a homepage, whether they're on an alert or something. So when you place that, put that machine in inventory, you want to do a 90-day review. That's a very simple automation to push that to it's time for this machine to be reviewed. We've also got automated price adjustment periods. So, for example, if maybe you started out a little high on that piece of equipment because you thought it was there, and then after 60 days you wanted to bring it down, so you can set those automatic price reminders and put those notes into there. It's really interesting to watch our dealers put some of the notes right on there, so you got that history that if it's been around 6 months, you know what the market was when you priced it, when you received it in, and you got the notes of why you marked it down to what you did, so that you can start making even better decisions as you go forward. So whether you have automated notifications as an inventory manager, or being able to just keep track and know when to have on your dashboard, these units need reviewed, or even out to the salesperson level of, I put this on my bargain barn sheet. You're not having to put together a spreadsheet and email it out to your sales team of, here's some special pricing on these units, hope that you move. We put it right on that inventory page. So when they pull up that tractor or that combine, it's got a big banner, says this one's in the bargain barn. Here's the special pricing. Nobody has to fumble around and find the latest spreadsheet. Or as used equipment manager, you don't have to put an hour or two in doing that each week and then sending it out again. So it just takes all that drudgery and the remembers and have to hunt for things, and just pushes it right to you where you're at. You don't have to think about it.
Yep. That makes it super simple too, because I've spent days getting ready for running through a 30, 60, 90, 120 day review of inventory, and you got this massive thing that you put together, and you're trying to put it where you need to put it, and then go through and value it and those kind of things. And especially with you guys, when you guys are working with tractors too. I mean, so that's one of those things you can really draw a lot of data.
You can, and what the process you just talked about is exactly right. You got to bucket it. And guess what? Next month, you got to start from scratch again.
Yeah. And
once we've got these reports and the dashboards and put together those automations, they just continually run. You click the button, and here is your inventory by store, by inventory bucket or age bucket from there, as well as, like you said, being able to augment it. That's the other piece of CRMI or Dealer Connect is it's not just what you have in your business system. It's not make, model, serial number. It is make, model, serial number plus all your advertising information, some additional market information, your local, what you put in it for trade. The biggest example is the machine comes in. What were we going to do with it when it came in? Was it going to be an inspection? Was it a straight to wholesale machine? That can live right on that same record as well and automatically notify the service department. Bringing in iron guides, those other services that you're a part of it. Heck, even using EDA data or catapult data to automatically suggest some leads. Here are people that have bought this type of equipment before, being right there on that piece of equipment. The biggest thing that we have is quote history right on the piece of equipment. Being there in your shoes, knowing that it's okay to know that it's 180 days old, but your very next question is, have we quoted it?
Right.
And what did we quote it? What was the outcome of those quotes? Which usually means now you got to go someplace else for that specific machine and dig into the quote history of that machine. With CRMI, it's just right there on the page. You click the quote tab and it shows you, here's the times it's been quoted, by who, what price, what was the outcome. And then you can go right back to those salesmen, maybe give them a better price. Maybe you have a spiff to close it out, or, we've all been in that boat where it's been around 6 months and it hasn't even gotten quoted once. Right. That tells you something. You can go right out. And that's just one button click, not a whole nother investigation in another system that you have to go figure out. Yeah. You do that, you save a machine, you retail it faster because you have that information in front of you. That saves a lot of money, saves a lot of effort, and just makes it to where you can, apply your expertise much more often. you're spending less time doing the drudge work and more time making those decisions. And that's really what we're here for.
Yeah. Yeah. And you bring that quoted thing up, and that's a big part of that is tracking those units. Because there's two ways to look at that. One is if your sales guys are actually logging their calls and doing what they're supposed to be doing, it makes a lot of sense. But when you're looking at, even if they're not logging their calls and there's no quotes on a piece of equipment and you've had it for 6 months, you either have something that's categorically wrong with the machine, or it is so highly priced that it just doesn't make sense for anybody to even call you about it because it's blown out of the water. So you talk about this one side of it here where he's talking about getting repeatedly quoted, but it's not going anywhere, and how you track those kind of things. That's an important part of that.
It is. And even when you're talking about buying that piece of equipment to begin with, even if you have a great spreadsheet out of your business system, what do you have? You have the successes that you successfully traded for, and then you successfully sold. Well, by having the same platform be your quoting platform as well, in that same report, it could show you, here's how many we did trade for, and here's how many we didn't. And seeing the trend line there of how much we put into the ones that we did trade for and how many we did put into the ones we didn't. What was the outcome of those? And when you put those together, you just got a much better understanding of what's going on. Being able to look at four-wheel drive tractors that you both traded for and sold, and then the ones you didn't win, that's just a huge amount of insight to take towards buying the next one, or what do you do with this one, or how do you distribute your inventory across?
Yeah, that's one of those things too, is because with that data that you're collecting, you can see what machines are getting sold where and how often, and with those kind of things. And that's such a pivotal part of inventory management, is making sure that, I mean, dealerships have gotten so big now that you've got, 10 dealerships or 12 or 15 or 20 or 30 or whatever you got now. And the idea that just because you have it at one store and we can truck it anywhere within our, that's a great, wonderful, and that's awesome. And that all works out great. But having the right machine, if all your combines are in the north and harvest starts in the south, and there's no combines, I mean, it's like, what's hard to get people to be interested in a machine that's 200 or 300 miles away from. It is having the right machine, the right place at the right time. I'm not a big fan of moving inventory all over the place just for the sake of moving around, but there comes a time when you need to put the right kind of machine in the right spot at that right buying cycle to get your customers excited about it.
And then you can make those decisions with some understanding rather than just a gut. We've got a dealer, their quote was, we save them 6 hours a week in just managing their inbound inventory. Because as you know, right now, new stuff is pretty scarce. Yeah. So what you're doing every week is you're looking at the factory, and we've got these orders on order, but where do we need them right now? And the way we save them that much time is they have one report that shows them order dates, factory delivery dates, where we're currently shipping it to, as well as the options and the configuration of the machine all together in one place. So they can go down through there and then compare that to sales history. So current inventory at this store is this amount of compact tractors, for example, with backhoes. And we've got 3 on order. So I don't want to send them to that same store again. So I'm going to reallocate those to this other store that needs some of those. And it was just drudgery before, they said, just having to go into each order. You got your order sheet over here on the side and clicking into that and then trying to figure it out. It was just really taking a lot of time. And that's exactly what they got out of it, was they got their time back, as well as inventory could ship right from the factory to the store that needed it, instead of having to ship it in centrally and distribute it around, or ship it to the store that already had enough while some other store was struggling to have enough inventory.
So I guess it's kind of, we've thrown a bunch of stuff out there, and as you're looking at this, what are the 2 or 3 questions you think Dealer Connect Inventory Analytics help answer? Like, where do you think that the real strong side of that is?
Well, you and I are used equipment geeks, so we spend a lot of time talking about, our side of the business. How do we manage the entire fleet, and how do we manage trends? But one of the biggest problems we help solve is just salesmen and being able to find the right piece of equipment, whether you have it or you don't. So what that example means is, type in a serial number. You don't have to navigate to 3 different screens to find out all the information. It's right there. You've got a global search bar. But the better part of it is what we call inventory search or our hunter, where you want to get through the entire inventory, but you want to get very specific. I want this range of models. Maybe I want all horsepowers in that family, but not this one. Being able to see what options are on there. Classic example would be utility vehicles. They come in different colors. They've got different wheels on them, and your customer wants that specific color. It's pretty hard to find normally. That's what our inventory search allows you to do quickly, though. Put in the model number, put camo, put green, put red in the search box, and it brings you back just ones that match that option. Compact tractors, same way. R4 tires, R1 tires. Large tractors, Michelin tires. Maybe they need the big pump. You don't have to go dig through inventory to find that specific piece of equipment they're looking for, which makes salespeople a lot more efficient, helps them find the different unit, as well as that customization piece we have, that if you have a special program on that, maybe that comes up to the top. Maybe those are highlighted first in the list there, so that they find the oldest one that they should be selling instead of the one they just happened to stumble across because they didn't have a great search tool. When you look at that and then also add in the the reality right now is a lot of times you don't have the piece the customer is looking for. We just introduced a feature with Dealer Connect called Save Search. So you get through there, you put all your criteria in there, and it comes up 0, or it comes up 1 or 2, and that's just not what the customer wants. You click a little button that says Save Search. You said email me daily, and every day the system runs that same search again. If nothing new came in, it just moves on. But if a new piece of equipment or a new tractor came in that matches that criteria for the search, in your inbox, you get an email that says, here's the results for today's search. Here's the new units that fit your criteria. Click here, and they get navigated right to that machine or that new stock unit. So the way we're all, pouring over inventory reports now to find the new units, what's coming in, so that you can be the first to sell it. What CRMI and Dealer Connect does for you is it allows you to pre-build that search and let the system push it to you when that perfect piece of equipment comes in. And that, that's great for salespeople. They get it first. But how many customers have told us in the past that when you get one of these, give me a call, and you write it down in your book, and you hope to remember all that stuff. Well, this is how we take technology to that age-old customer issue of next time you get one of these, give me a call. Oh, I got an email. Here's what I wanted to, here's who I need to call and to let them know we've got one in and sell that machine right away.
Right on. So that last part you brought up there, I think that's pretty neat. So I can, Jason Hoult calls me and says, hey, next time you get an 8330 and it's got under 5,000 hours on it, I'm interested in that machine.
Exactly.
Well, so it'll find that machine for me, and then will it tie it back to an opportunity or something I have out there for you?
So you can tie it back to that customer. The customer piece is optional. So you can put in all that criteria. It's got to be this size tractor, and it's got to have big pump, or it's got to have 6 remotes, all of those features into there. Then you hit save. The system's going to ask, is this for a specific customer? If it is, then you just, look them up in the CRM and put their name in there. And that'll be in your email. So here's your saved search for this customer. Here's the customers. Maybe it's more than one that this search was saved for. And that's part of their history. So if you were to pull up that customer in the CRM side, you'd see that we have these saved searches for that customer. Here's what they're looking for. As well as then when you get that notification, it says, here's the models, or here's the machines. And then down below it says, and here's the accounts that this search was linked to.
You're making it too easy, Jason. You're gonna automate this story. Practice. You're gonna automate me out of a job.
We make you look good. There you go.
I need all the help that I can get, so that'd be great.
Well, it is Halloween, stuff, so I guess you get to go natural.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. All right, man. Hey, well, good stuff, Jason. Any final thoughts you want to throw out there before we close this thing down?
We really appreciate it. And inventory is one of those places that is just screaming for automation, is just screaming for analytics, is just screaming for digitization and making your life easier. So that's where we've taken this Salesforce platform, which is industry leading, made it affordable, and then just used all these great great toys and tools that we have to just make your life easier. And that's what you get with Dealer Connect. And, come to the summit next year, you'll see more of it. But in the meantime, just reach out to us, and we'd love to show you how we can make a difference in your listeners' dealership as well.
Right on. And what's the best way to get a hold of you over there at Anvil AppWorks?
Yep, it's the website, www.anvilappworks.com or sales@anvilappworks.com.
Awesome. Good stuff. Well, Jason, I appreciate you being on the podcast, man.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
You too, man. I'm Casey Seymour with Moving Iron Podcast. Check me out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Moving Iron LLC, on LinkedIn at Moving Iron Podcast, and the ever so cleverly named Moving Iron Podcast YouTube channel. So check that out and see the video version of this podcast here. So with that, I am Casey Seymour with Jason Hoult. Good smart folks. Out.
Moving iron in the 21st century. Hard work.